Good girl. Good girl. She's a good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. Hadn't been ridden. Yeah, I'm alright. Hadn't been ridden.
You don't reckon? You don't reckon he's broken?
Well, you wouldn't think so, would you? Come here. There we go. Okay, so she's got a problem with mounting. And now we know why he wants 2 weeks.
That's right. I think he needs more than 2 weeks, don't you? Are you alright?
Yeah. You knock hats off, don't you? Hey? You knock hats off. Hi folks, John O'Leary from Horse Problems Australia, and welcome to Video Online. And this week's subject is about mounting the horse that won't stand still, and mounting in general. You've been watching this particular horse for a little while, and one of the things we must be mindful of when we run into horses that are a little bit fractious and difficult to mount is to the reasons why, and they can be many, but you must take into account the psychological side and the psychological profile of the horse to get to the bottom of if possible, why the horse is tense or stressed or doesn't want a rider on board. There are lots of reasons. Some of them though can be veterinary reasons. They can be reasons of a rider who is a Hitler, say, who gives a horse a bad experience under saddle last time they rode. That's not the case here with this young lady, of course. He's about to have a lesson with my wife, the owner is. And this horse is not a high-end problem. There are many more worse than this horse. This one's just a little restless, but he'll do for the purposes of this. Hi folks, John O'Leary from Horse Problems Australia, and welcome to Horse Training Online, the video productions. Today I want to talk to you about evasion in the horse and evasion of all of the descriptions. The first thing that you must do, the first thing that I do on any horse that we have evasion problems with, is to remouth them, of course, because you must have the ingredient of the lateral mouth to be able to control them from their run. At least control them laterally, even if you can't control them from a front brakes point of view. But there are a number of ingredients of the control that I want to talk to you about, which come into play during the fixing of a horse that wants to evade. So here we go, and we'll have a try. And you'll see all sorts of things happening here. This is a high-end, a very high-end job on a horse like this, and all sorts of decisions are being made all of the time on the horse, because with these young horses, and this horse here is a green horse. Good girl. When I came past the mirror that time, noticed that she was looking over in the rocks. So she has forgotten the mirror and was looking for trouble over in the rocks. Therefore, the horse is telling us that the mirror is becoming a non-event. See her looking at the camera person, not the mirror. Good girl, good girl, good girl. And she's looking up there at the camera person. Good girl, good girl. Which means the mirror, we've basically won the fixing of evasion in concerns of this big mirror here, where she can see now the whole arena and herself. The fixing of evasion of the horse, no matter what the evasion is to not allow the evasion to happen in the first place. Most evasions are caused by learnt evasion because riders lack rein handling, lack reading, understanding, reading the future, reading the mind of the horse, timing, feel, etc. So fix all those ingredients and you'll have a horse that will be the boldest horse in town and will never evade in the future. Good girl, and thanks for being such a lovely girl. Good girl. Walk on. We'll catch you next time on the next subject.
Hello, Linda O'Leary from Horse Problems Australia. Welcome to Video Online. Today's subject is about the use of leg and leg aids. And it is based on the learner rider so that they can get a clear indication of how we ride a horse. But there has been some controversial discussion about this subject as to the Dutch way of riding versus the German. So we're going to go large now, and I'm going to start riding some transitions, and I'm going to apply leg. I'll tell you when I do, and if I don't get a reaction, you watch what I do with my whip. And then we just repeat in short succession until the horse becomes a little snappier. So right, so we're about to go to trot. Hello and welcome back to this clip. I'm Linda O'Leary from Horse Problems Australia, and today's subject is about putting the young green breaker on the bit for the first time. And this horse has only had trail riding on a loose rein till today, and we are going to show you hopefully how to achieve getting her to start coming into a contact and accepting a frame. Now, we like to trail ride our horses first to really instill forwardness before we go into an arena and try and play with the mouth. Now, obviously, This horse is trying me out a little bit here and saying I don't want to travel. And all breakers go through that. See here again. So now we're going to up the ante a little bit and teach her that discipline can occur. It's just because she's starting to get a little bit cocky now. She's never really been made to this date do what we ask, but really we've ridden her by cooperation. And so now it's time to lay down the rules and to teach her that when we say something, it means do it. Now she wants to go forward. She wants to stretch down. When she does her snort, my hand will follow the feel. If she wants to go down, I've got to let her because it's in the right direction. Like I said, as far as down she goes, the better. Hands following like Inspector Gadget arms, allowing the horse to travel and stretch. So that's very good now. Yep, you can walk on now. All right, so now we have the owner of the horse doing her first ride in the arena. And so we're just going to start off and commence on just a loose rein, let them get used to each other before we start to expect her to do what I just did. And she's going to, of course, copy exactly what I did as well. But while we're just walking around and letting the horse relax, Claire, you're going to still ask with your inside leg if you feel her come in, okay? Now, it is very important, while Claire just walks around, it is very important that we do not direct rein the horse, even at this stage of the piece, by pulling the horse to the outside track, because that causes flexion to go to the outside. Anytime flexion is in that direction, the shoulder of the horse falls this way. They are going to fall in on against your inside leg. That in turn makes them lose balance, that makes them lose confidence, and that stops the forward. A little tap with the whip behind your leg. That's it. Very good. But yeah, your aiming your whole session is to try, by the end of the session, to get more feel in front than you had at the start, okay?
Is an unknown horse. We really don't know a lot about this horse. It was bought from a sanctuary recently. But she's got her, you can see the look on her face, she's gone paranoid, she's got the mental block happening, she's thinking bad things, and that's just simply because of the one pullback there, which has triggered her into major worry of bad things to come. Not her fault. Australian stock horse, lovely temperament, beautiful sweetheart, you can see by her eye. But this is obviously why she ended up at a sanctuary, and of course her next trip, if not fixed, will be to the abattoirs and her death.
Hello and welcome, Linda O'Leary from Horse Problems Australia, and welcome to Video Online. Today's segment is about clipping a horse, and you have to excuse how feral I'm dressed, but one tip, you will not get the hair out of your clothes, so I suggest you wear something that you can throw away after or get some overalls. This horse, I don't know what he's going to be like, so we're going to introduce the clippers and show you the reaction as we go, and I'm going to show you how the job is done and any restraints that we may need to use to get the job done. Because obviously it is a very dangerous game. We're getting into nooks and crannies, placing ourselves in danger by being underneath the horse. It's okay, sweetheart. Good boy, good boy. Good boy. You just talk to him and pat him, okay? Good boy. That's all right, that's all right. Good lad. Good lad. Yeah, you're all right. Good boy. So we're now at the stage where we've just got to do his head, and we're going to, even though we've been working without the twitch on, we're going to put it back on him now, because for his own safety we don't want him flicking his head around and perhaps getting the clippers in his eye because that's for his own well-being. If we find we have to cover his eye, like I said, we can do that like that, or if he really becomes a problem and he doesn't stand still enough, we can always get a dark rag, excuse me, got hair down my throat, a dark rag, and we would attach it here to the halter. And what people probably don't realise is if this eye is covered and I'm working on this side of the horse,
Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. You're a pretty girl, isn't she, eh? You're a pretty girl. Good girl. Good girl. Loss of concentration only. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah, good girl. Prior to me turning the camera on, she actually had a real mental block and couldn't even handle this, so I then had to, and you've got to start thinking out of the square when you come to horses that get a mental logjam. You have to think outside the square, because you know you need to be able to get this filly to actually walk around in a right-hand direction and a right-hand circle. And so I've just spent the last 5 minutes being very, very cool, calm, quiet and soft. Sorry, love. The door, what a door opening. And just trying to get her to get the message without her panicking. Good girl, to actually walk this direction, not only flex this direction, but to walk this direction, because she couldn't even do that. She was stuck in stone. Her mind couldn't get around the fact that she couldn't take her head the other side and show me how good she was. She couldn't move her body. She could stand here flex, but she couldn't move her body. And so so a big danger to ruining the whole mouthing process and ruining the breaking in of the horse if you can't think outside the square and invent other systems for every particular horse, which I'm still doing these days. So good girl. So we're down to natural horsemanship basically here, bit by bit by bit by bit, building slowly. Walk on, girl, walk on. Walk on. Walk on. Because she's overactive, I don't want to frighten, because she tends to try too hard, this filly. Walk on. Good girl.
Go.
Hello little girl, how are you? Hi folks, welcome to the video library online. John O'Leary is my name, from Horse Problems Australia, and here we have a pretty feral. Arrived here 2 days ago. You couldn't touch her, basically. 16-month-old Arab filly called Mirror, and I've got her to the point of being able to tie her up and other stuff. And we've just finished introducing her first little baby horse rug to her, and I've just taken it off because I want to show you now, because right at this early stage of their career, they need to learn to be hosed down. And I want to talk to you about hosing horses down. That's the subject of this. Number one thing to remember is, with a green horse, an unbroken horse, or a suspect in tying up horse, you must never have them tied up to hose them down. Okay, so back to the rugging. I've just introduced her to her first hose down, and even hosed her back legs, which of course was a non-event because of back leg hobbles. And now back to the rug, and this is 10 minutes after you saw that first rug footage, and we're tied up at the tie-up rail, and we just basically can treat her like a normal horse and rugger. Non-event, job done, game over. Now, on the subject of then the head, and this is where I see some horrendous things happening. Horses are completely paranoid about getting water in their ears. Now the other thing is, of course, that we were talking about stock whip training, and I just want to show you, even though I've only done it probably 3 times, I'd say, but the end result should be this. Good girl. Hi folks, John O'Leary from Horse Problems Australia, and welcome to another video online. And this one's about the stock whip training of the horse. You'll see before this particular clip the procedure to introduce a stock whip to a horse, but today's session is about trying to introduce the stock whip to the horse that you have already got used to it on the ground under saddle. And you do that bareback, but before you do, build and then the other way, as if you're going to crack the whip. So as you can see, everything's building and build, and once you know and you can back your judgment and the horse, then you can attempt that one around the top.